So I'm so delighted to welcome everyone today to this session with Steve Pollack. Steve has studied the sacred cosmic language of astrology for 30 years. He practices meditation on the inner light and sound for 40 years. He found his life's greatest passion in contacting the divine light through meditation. His greatest purpose is in helping others to learn how to see the light for themselves using tools of meditation, astrological readings, and communication. Steve emphasizes the positive, supportive insights that astrology can reveal. And what he's going to talk to us about today and reveal many things which we may not even be expecting is the positive astrology for self-knowledge. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Melissa, Teresa, Angela, and hopefully John is going to pop in soon. It's a real honor to share because this is one of my great passions in life. This is one of my favorite things in the world to talk about, to share about. It's a fascinating subject that is often grossly misunderstood. So I'm going to take this opportunity to set the record straight on some things. Astrology is a sacred language of the cosmos. It's the way that the planets and the sun and the stars and even the asteroids speak to us. They communicate to us. And this is has become a very esoteric language that few people understand. I finally learned a snappy comeback for to have a response when someone sees me reading a book on astrology and they say, you actually believe in that stuff? And I say, well, do you believe in French or German or English or Russian or any language? And they get kind of confused. Well, you don't have to believe in a language, you just have to learn it, to speak it, right? Become fluent. I said, well, exactly. Astrology is a cosmic sacred language that involves geometry, symbology, symbols, mythology. And if somebody doesn't know the language, of course, they're not going to understand it, and they may think that they don't believe in it. But when we learn the basics about astrology, we see it's not so difficult as it might appear to be. And it's constantly evolving. This is the amazing thing. Human beings are constantly, we're all learning and growing and evolving all the time. The universe is expanding and evolving. Planets are shifting their orbits. The Earth's axis, the magnetic poles of the Earth shift. Everything is constantly in flux. Astrology is growing and expanding beyond our wildest imagination. And I have some facts to back that up. The asteroids, the traditional astrology has accepted the major planets, the 9 planets, and then several years back, the astronomers decided to demote Pluto because it's such a small planet and it's way out in a large orbit. So Pluto was demoted from a planet to a planetoid, which I was kind of sad about because Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio, and I have 3 planets in Scorpio in my sign, in my chart. So astrology, this language is constantly expanding and evolving. It's fascinating. There are currently so many asteroids that, according to current count, there's 1,351,000 asteroids in the asteroid belt or in the Kuiper belt. That they call it ancient space rubble. But some of these asteroids are quite large and they have been named and photographed and cataloged. So some of them are given just a number. Some of them are actually given a name based on some mythological figure out of Greek or Roman mythology. And as of currently, just about 24,000 of the numbered asteroids have been given names. There's 629,000 numbered asteroids. That means they're mapped, they're known, they've been photographed, they've been assigned a number. Over 24,000 of those asteroids have been given names based on some mythological creature or let me just open another window here that explains a bit more about that. In mythology, there are over 4,000 gods and goddesses, as well as fantastical animal figures that are said to have godlike powers. And the main characters in mythology are often non-humans, like gods, demigods, and other supernatural figures. So there are over 4,000 gods and goddesses, demigods, and so forth. And when an asteroid is recognized as important, for some reason, when the astronomers decide that this numbered asteroid is important enough, they assign it a name, and there's something mystical that happens. Nobody knows why, but they choose, these are astronomers, they're not astrologers, they're scientists, and they choose some mythological name to name the asteroid after. And then astrologers take the mythological name that the asteroid was named after, and they give meaning to that asteroid so you can then use it in a chart reading. And just by way of a little bit of background and history of astrology, I want to share that astrology is a very extremely ancient language. It's been around pretty much forever. We have ancient Sumerian astrology, ancient Babylonian astrology, ancient Egyptian astrology, ancient Arabic astrology. And as you know, I'm most interested in deep interpersonal astrology, depth astrology, spiritual astrology, which helps us to discover or find our passion, which is our gift, and then our purpose, to focus on our purpose, which is sharing our gift. It's passionate work of a human being just to find their gift. A lot of people have not found their gift, and they're struggling, or they're feeling lost or frustrated because they don't know what their gifts are, so they don't know how to share it. But once you find what your gifts are, then your purpose in life is to share those gifts, right? Um, Astrology has been around for as long as humanity has been around, and the ancient astrologers had very crude tools. Their telescopes weren't refined like ours are. They certainly didn't have something like the Hubble or the James Webb Space Telescope. So they were using limited tools, and they had limited information about the planets and the orbits. But even the ancient astrologers had mystical wisdom that I believe came through deep, intense meditative practices where they didn't need telescopes and satellites. They were able to divine astrological information and techniques. For instance, there's an ancient Arabic technique for looking at someone's natal chart and uh, determining whether they'll have a short life, a medium lifespan, or a long life. And maybe 20 years ago, I ran across this somewhere on the web, and I have a library of people's charts that I've done, and I started looking at them, and some of those people had passed away, and I knew how old they were when they passed. And this ancient Arabic technique, which I have since lost track of, I can't find it anywhere on the web. I've searched many times, was so dead on accurate that it was a little frightening, a little scary. And that's why I don't delve into the predictive aspect of astrology. It can be very powerful. Some people have special skills in the predictive areas, but I find it much more interesting to look deep into the personal chart and get away from the predictions. help people to understand their spiritual nature, where they come from, what they've developed highly in past lifetimes, and how they can progress on their spiritual journey and find their special gifts and strengths. So I'm going to, in the true spirit of democracy, I'm going to pull up my chart so you can get a little acquainted with me, and then we'll move on to Angela's chart. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. So you can see, I'm guessing it, my screen is up, right? You can see it. You can see the round wheel. This is the chart of Steve.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just give you a brief overview so you can see how this works and get a little more acquainted with me. Now I know the symbols and everything, it's like looking at Mandarin or Russian or German or French or whatever language you don't know, and you look at it and you're like, what the heck does that mean? It means absolutely nothing to you, but let me just interpret for you. Here, this is the ascendant. This is the sign that was on the horizon. If you went back to where I was born, November 14th, in Buffalo, New York, at the time that I was born, if you looked out at the horizon, the constellation of Cancer was on the horizon. That means I was born with Cancer ascendant, Cancer rising. The ascendant sign is how you appear to the outside world, how people see you, how you relate to the outside world. Cancer is highly sensitive, nurturing, caring, sort of a parental protective energy. It's very soft for the most part. And so people who don't know me very well, they see this real soft, nurturing. This is the kind of work that I do with the astrology, with the nonviolent communication, with couples counseling. They see, oh, Steve is so sweet. He's so gentle and tender and caring. And oh, we just love him because he's got these gentle and sensitive nature. And I do. That is my outer self. But then go look at the sun, which is the core of the person's energy. It's in the sign of Scorpio. Um, Sun is your main energy source, the core of your personality. Scorpio is intensity, it's depth, it's digging deep to get to the bottom of things, to get to the truth, to get to the to solve the mysteries of life and death and everything, really. So you see the difference? And I didn't understand this about myself until I learned the language of astrology and understood my own chart. I also have Mercury in Scorpio, so my mind, Mercury is based on the mythological god Mercury, god of communication. And so my mind, my Mercury thinks intensely and deeply in Scorpio kind of ways. Here we see Neptune also in Scorpio. Neptune is your dreams, your visions, your spirituality, your illusions. Neptune, of course, as you may know, is another mythological figure from Greek or Roman mythology, the god of the seas, of the oceans. And it indicates your dreaminess, where you kind of lose touch with reality. So you've got all this Scorpio intensity down here. And then look up here at Mars. Mars, according to mythology, the god of war, right? Mars is your energy, how you go after what you want, how you assert yourself. Um, it can be kind of a selfish energy, this planet Mars. But mine is in the very selfless sign of Pisces. So I go after what I want by trying to help others. I assert myself in a very Piscean, gentle, spiritual, healing way. sometimes very shy and self-effacing. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but it's just to give you some idea how this all works. And if I see anybody yawning, I know that I'm giving too much information, but I don't see any yawns yet. Let me just give you a little bit of information about the nodes of the moon. This is a fascinating thing when it comes to positive astrology because um, traditional astrology is frankly frightens a lot of people. I know one friend who refuses to look at anything astrological because any kind of predictive thing that he reads about his sign for that day or that week causes him a lot of anxiety because then he's looking and expecting and worrying and is this going to happen or is it not going to happen? He prefers not to know. And I get that. I respect that. He doesn't understand the language. So of course, it's confusing. It's stressful for him. But when we understand the language, the nodes of the moon at the time you were born, they tell you about your past lives and the direction you're heading in for your maximum personal growth, spiritual growth, and evolution. So if you look at mine, this is the symbol here for the north node of the moon. And the south node is 180 degrees opposite right here. So my south node is in Taurus in the 11th house. That means the south node is what you developed very, very highly. And some would say in negative astrology, they would say it's an imbalance. You've overdeveloped it, and it's going to get you in trouble if you keep doing that in this lifetime. You need to balance whatever you've overdeveloped out, balance it out by the opposite. So what did I develop so highly? Taurus is money, material things, things of value, material possessions, the appearance of things, creature comforts and the sensual pleasures. So, and it's right next to Gemini. So I'm guessing that in past lifetimes, I got very caught up in wealth, in my own wealth, right? In material things, I had to have the nicest looking house, clothes, and horse or car. They didn't have cars, and back then maybe it was just I needed to have a fine stallion to ride on. I was concerned about my standing, my self-worth in the community. I thought it all had to do with my success and my wealth and my influence. And it was right next to Gemini, so that means I did an awful lot of talking about it. I still love to talk to this day, but I was talking about me. Like I might have said, and this is a little joke, an inside joke with my friends. We'll talk about me for a while, and then I'll say, well, enough about me. What do you think about me? So what's the opposite of that? That is all highly developed. And in traditional astrology, they warn that if you get stuck in your south node and you keep doing that, the south node in I think it's in Vedic astrology, the south node is the tail of the dragon, the north node is the head of the dragon. If you get stuck in your old lifetimes and you keep doing the same stuff, the tail of the dragon is going to smack you and you're going to get hit really hard. Um, Also, all of this was in the 11th house, which is the house of large organizations, spiritual organizations, humanitarian organizations, groups of friends with high ideals that are trying to change the world, right? So was very likely involved in religious organizations, humanitarian organizations, spiritual organizations, and I was very good at blending in, giving money and support and being very proud that I was a supporter, but I wasn't necessarily learning the deeper lessons of what they were all about because I was so stuck on the Taurus, the material aspect. Okay, so what balances that? And in Eastern mysticism, they say when your soul incarnates into a human form, which is the roof and crown of creation, by the way, um, everything in this physical world is on a continuum, pairs of opposites. So you have hot and cold, you have large and small, you have good and evil, you have saints and sinners, and so on and so forth. You have rich and poor, right? Um, we have all these pairs of opposites. So when you take incarnation, you have some highly developed gifts. These are gifts that I have, and I can still use them so long as I balance them out with the total opposite, which is right here. Oh, what a difference. Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus. Scorpio is not concerned with how much money I have or how much money someone else has or how big their house is or how fancy their car is or how much they give to the temple, mosque, church, spiritual organization. I'm not concerned with that at all. Scorpio wants to get to the bottom. It wants to solve the mystery. It wants to see through the facade of the physical world. So instead of looking at all those material things, Scorpio, I've been challenged in this life to get to the heart of the matter. How do those people with all the wealth and influence, how do they treat other people? Are they kind? Are they practicing what they preach? Do you see how different that is from just getting caught up in the appearances of wealth and influence? This is about getting to know people, going deep into helping people get to know themselves as well. Also, my North Node is not only in Scorpio, but it's in the fifth house. The fifth house is the total opposite of the 11th house. The 11th house is merging into a huge religious or spiritual organization or humanitarian organization and just learning how to be a cog in the wheel, how to play your part, how to maybe support it with your volunteer work, with your talents, your skills, your funds, your monetary contributions. The fifth house is quite different. It's not about big organizations and blending in as a little tiny cog in the wheel. The fifth house is the Leo house. This is where you're being challenged. I'm being challenged in this lifetime to go off on my own, do my own thing, have total creative freedom, um, not be so afraid to toot my own horn. And really, I was so shy when I was younger. I really preferred to just hide in a large organization. But over the years, I realized I need to start expressing myself. Fifth house is self-expression from the heart, being free to express my creativity, my depth in my own personal style. Forget about, yes, I can still help out with big organizations, and I do. I volunteer with them, but now I balance it with going off on my own, developing my own voice. So I know that that's a lot to take in. Are y'all still with me? Because I do want this to be interactive. Um, so before I move on to Angela's chart, let me see if there are any questions or comments.
I'd like to say something, Steve, because um, I have, I think maybe the others here also um, may know something about astrology, but
Mhm.
I didn't realize that it was so. You spoke about a past life, and I think this part of it has been very, very interesting. You know, how things from there may come into the life here.
Yes. Yes. And many people do not necessarily believe in reincarnation or in transmigration, which is where you start out as a plant and move up to an insect and so on and so forth until you eventually get the human form. So for those people who don't believe in reincarnation and that's too woo-woo or it's too Hindu for them, if they have any religious or spiritual belief at all, I just say, okay, those are gifts that you came into this world with. You brought those gifts with you. Where they came from, it's not really important, right? I happen to believe it's from past incarnations. That's just my belief, but you don't have to believe anything that I say. One other thing I'll point out in my chart, you notice there's a big triangle here. The moon, Uranus, and Saturn. When you see a triangle in the chart like that, that's what they call that a grand trine. And those angles, 120-degree angles, three planets making 120-degree angles to each other, that's the most easy kind of flowing energy that there is in astrology. And people who have grand trines um, find them things flowing to them sometimes so easily. It appears to be like dumb luck, and that has happened to me a lot. In the 10th house, career, second house, money and finances, and fifth house, my creativity. So there's so much. There are layers and layers of information in a chart, but I don't want to bore you too much with mine. Any other questions or comments? Remember, you need to unmute your mic before you speak.
I say mine. I went and dug out my astrology chart that I got last, which was years ago. Does the astrology chart change, or is it change based on what system you're looking at to do it? Because I found it surprising that it seems much different than when I got earlier in life.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question because I totally forgot to mention that we're just looking at classic Western astrology system. There is Vedic astrology, which has some similarities, but Vedic astrology is much more geared toward predicting specific things. A really talented Vedic astrologer, a master of it's called Vedic astrology. What's the other word? Meenakshi, it's slipping my mind. They can pinpoint exact times in your life when major events will happen. They can tell you how many times you'll be married and the approximate dates. They also can look at approximate times when you will pass away, when your life will end. But to answer your question, if you did the chart in the same system, and astrology is immensely complicated because there's been so much development over the centuries. This house system that you're seeing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 12 houses and 12 signs. There are at least 10 or 20 different house systems that you can use, depending on which one you prefer. So different astrologers have different house systems they use. They have different astrology programs that they use to cast the chart, which can make the chart look different. But the natal chart never changes. The position of the planets remains the same. And if you have someone do a progress chart, that's a chart that shows, reflects how your life will be over the next year. So you can do a progress chart for each year of your life. And that will always change. That will always look different. The general technique they use is a day for a year. So if you're, let's say I'm 67 years old, I would do a progress chart for 67 days after November 14th. And that would show me how this year of my 67th year would turn out. Again, it's getting into predictive astrology, which is very popular, and there's nothing wrong with predictive astrology. It's not my forte. It's not my greatest passion. So let me now.
What does the MC and IC stand for? I know the AC is ascendant, DC is, I assume, is descendant, but what does IC and MC stand for?
IC is I believe, a Latin word, imum coeli, which translates roughly to the um, the the fourth house, or the house of home and family. So here's my fourth house here, and I have Jupiter and Venus in Libra in the fourth house. The fourth house rules your home and family life. Um, and Jupiter is is where you grow and expand. A lot of Eastern astrologers would love to have Jupiter in their fourth house. It's considered a great blessing. And then having Venus and Libra in the fourth house means I love harmony and peace and beauty in the home and family. I love for people to have good manners and be polite and kind to each other, especially in the home and in the family. I can't live in a home where there's a lot of arguing and bickering going on. And then MC is uh, called the midheaven. That's your 10th house cusp. And it is the house that is associated with your work and career. So my 10th house cusp is in Pisces. It's setting the stage for my work and career to have something to do with healing, which you could see it clearly does. Meditation is ruled by Pisces. And then the moon, oh, I'm so glad you asked this, Angela, because the moon and Venus are very interesting planets. Venus is what you love. And I love being at home. I'm a homebody. I love enjoying the Libra is the arts. I love enjoying the arts, watching movies and stuff at home. I love having friends or family at home, enjoying beautiful things, good food. Venus is sensual enjoyments of the finer things. So it's very easy for me to be home and to enjoy that. Venus is what you love. The moon is what you need. It's an unconscious energy. It's what you need. You may not love it. You may not even like it. In fact, my moon is opposing my Venus. You see that red line there? 180 degrees opposition. So I could just stay home and, munch on snacks and watch Netflix forever with friends and family. But eventually I need Aries is leadership, to be a leader, to be an innovator in the 10th house of career, Pisces healing. And that's my life. I am home most of the time, then I go out to a library or someplace to teach a meditation class, which is healing work. And I do it in a very unique way. I'm kind of an innovator and a leader in the way I do that. And then I go right back home to Venus, which is what I love. So glad you asked that question because the moon and Venus are very personal planets. And by the way, based on your rising sign, whatever your rising sign is, there's a planet that rules your rising sign. The planet that rules my rising sign, Cancer, is the moon. The moon is in my career house in Aries. So it gives extra weight, extra gravitas to the meaning of the moon in my chart. The moon also, because Cancer is ruled by the moon in the nighttime, I happen to be a night person. I love being up really late at night. I don't like the bright sunshine of the day, especially in the early morning. And the moon and Cancer are one of their qualities is moodiness. And I'm the first one to admit sometimes I'm quite moody. I have moods and they go very positive, sometimes middle of the road, sometimes kind of dark. And it's in my chart because it's my rising sign, is the way the world sees me. It's ruled by the moon in the nighttime. A lot of people don't like to admit that they are ever moody. If you ask someone if they're moody, even if their chart says they have moodiness, they'll say, "Oh, I'm not moody. I'm not moody. I'm not moody."
That's true.
Well, let me pull up your chart, Angela, and see what there is to see.
Oh boy. Get to know me.
Getting to know you. Getting to know all about you.
That sounds menacing.
Let's see here. How do I get back to that screen? I'm not the most fluid or graceful with the technology. And I know that, Meenakshi, you wanted to ask each person if they wanted to keep recording while we look at their chart because it is rather personal. It's up to the individual. She can stop the recording if you prefer or
Okay,
keep it in.
I'm okay. Everybody here is good energy, so I'm good with it.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Just go back to that screen and okay, go to Angela.
I was laughing before because I'm a night person, so I think I'm going to now I'll be understanding a little bit more about my chart.
Ah, interesting. And if at any point, if anything that I'm saying is uncomfortable or embarrassing, your safe word is just please stop, right? And I'll stop or move on to something else. So here we have rising sign of Virgo, and your birth time was accurate, right? Off your birth
Yes.
certificate? Oh, good, good. This is a very interesting rising sign. That means the way the world sees you, the way people see you, and the way you relate to the world is through helping. You're a helper. You gather information for people, you classify it, you organize it, you help people organize their own information, right? You harvest the information out there. I'll bet you're on the web a lot.
Yes, I'm a nerdy. Very nerdy. And what is my rising sign?
It's Virgo.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
But it's in the last degree of Virgo, which means it's very close to Libra. So people not only see you as a helper and a great manager and harvester and organizer of information in a helpful way, it's a supportive way. You also have this gift, this knack for being able to see the imperfections or the errors, right? And correcting them. I don't know if that resonates with you.
Oh, very much so.
But you would be charming and graceful and kind and have good manners about it because your ascendant is so close to Libra. And when someone has Libra rising or very close to Libra rising as you have, they have grace and charm in the way they relate to people, and they're often seen as physically quite beautiful, which you obviously are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The planets never lie, right?
I hope not.
Oh, now so that's your ascendant, your rising sign. Now, if we look at your sun, it's over here in Taurus, in the eighth house, right? Uh, and it makes a very nice harmonious angle, this blue line to your Pluto and your ascendant. But the core of your personality is about self-worth, values, things of material value. Um, Taurus is one of the most stable, steady signs of the zodiac. It's actually at the core of your personality is this very stable, steady. You're in touch with, you're grounded with the earth and with your body and with your senses. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so um, Taurians generally really know how to appreciate their senses, touch, sight, smell, taste. They like pleasant senses, aromas, tastes, visual arts, and things like that. I don't know if that holds true for you.
All of it, yes. That's me. You're describing me pretty well.
And it's in the eighth house, so you have an unusually deep, profound appreciation. All those things that I just described, it's in the eighth house. It's the Scorpio house. So it goes deep. This appreciation you have for beauty, for material things of value, for the arts, for sensuous pleasures and the finer things and maybe the creature comforts. You have a really deep, intense, passionate desire and appreciation for those things. And
Yep.
and and they could be transformative for you, and you can transform other people with them. because of that Scorpio, that eighth house is the Scorpio house. So you have that depth and that passion. You're able to see deeply into these things and really appreciate them on a level that a lot of people can't.
Mm.
Over here, so at the surface, people see you as a helper, as a beautiful, helpful person who helps gather information, organize it, and present it in a supportive way. At your core, you're about your values and surrounding yourself with things that support your values and your appreciation of harmony and beauty and enjoyment. You may really appreciate the finer things in life as well.
Mhm.
Now, Pluto over here, this is interesting. This is the planet that rules the sign of Scorpio, and it's in your 12th house. It's in Virgo. So this indicates Pluto is uh, as I said, it was demoted. It's no longer considered by astronomers to be a real planet. I'm not sure I agree with them, but because it's small, since when is something demoted just because it's small? That's like sizeism, isn't it? Discrimination based on size. That's like
Yeah.
you could demote a whole bunch of countries and say you're not a real country because you're too small. Um, so anyway, Pluto, I think, is still very powerful. Pluto was not used in Kabbalistic astrology because they had, when Kabbalah started using astrology, Pluto had not been discovered yet. So isn't that kind of interesting? And by the way, and I'm sorry to interject in the middle of your chart, Angela, but this is something I consider very important that a lot of people don't know. Astrology now, if you talk to religious people today, the way religions have evolved and grown and sometimes kind of lost their way. A lot of religious people are really nervous about astrology. They think that there's something negative or evil or dangerous about it because their church or temple or mosque has told them you shouldn't mess with that. That's like you shouldn't mess with tarot cards or Ouija board or any of those things. That's like forbidden. And some actually believe that astrology is evil. That's like saying the German language is evil or the French language is evil or Spanish is evil because we don't know it, we don't understand it, which is kind of ridiculous. The um, If you look back through history, even the Catholic Church, the Pope of Rome, for hundreds of years, they used astrology. They had highly skilled astrologers advising them and guiding them. But unfortunately, astrology isn't 100% accurate just based on the planets alone. The most gifted astrologers are able to tune in intuitively and use their psychic abilities to tune into what's really going on and get more specific with the reading. So if an astrologer has a really bad day, or if they're under a lot of political pressure and they're nervous and they're not tuning in, they may have given some bad readings and, um, you know, kings and queens, countries, uh, directed their armies based on astrological readings. And if the astrologer said, yes, this is a good time, you should invade this country, and then they got their butts whooped and they retreated and they lost a fortune of in terms of human life and wealth and influence and power, um, then they blame it on the astrologer. And then they say, oh, astrology is bad. So we've seen astrology fall in and out of favor among religious leaders, including the Pope, kings and queens, political leaders. And it falls out of favor when people simply fail to understand how it works. So going back to Pluto in Virgo, Pluto is so small and it's way out there. It's the farthest planet out in our solar system. So it has a sort of unconscious energy to it. It's deep, it's profound, it's undeniable, but it's unconscious because it's so far away and it's so small. So you have this deep unconscious desire to dig into information, to organize it, to find healthy routines, to create schedules and help other people to get their information organized and to create healthy routines. You may have a lot of deep interest in health itself, healthy eating or exercise or that kind of thing, healthy lifestyle. And because Pluto is in the 12th house, there's a spiritual quality. This is almost like a quest for you. There's something spiritual and healing about it. But you want to be cautious because um, in the 12th house, planets in the 12th house can also, if we get too caught up in them, we can undo ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. We just overdo it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, your fourth house cusp, the IC, the Imam Coeli, is at the tail end of Sagittarius, which would imply that your home and family is they're very open. They just speak their mind. they, they're pretty friendly. They're philosophical. They talk about their beliefs. I don't know if that sounds like your home or your family of origin.
Not my family, but I consider my friends my family. And yes, in my house, everything is allowed. I'm pretty open to, you can express yourself however you want. So yes, that would make sense.
Good. And now your 10th house, your career house, is in the tail end of Gemini. So your career could have a lot to do with sharing information, speaking, writing, um, exploring ideas.
Yeah, I guess so.
What type of work do you do?
I work with handicapped people. I prescribe wheelchairs for complex rehab.
Ah, interesting.
So yes, I have to be inventive, I guess, in order to accommodate, patients and things that they need. And I have to write the reports for the insurance to pay for the wheelchairs. So yeah, I guess it would make sense.
Well, you have two personal planets in Gemini, very close to each other, Mars and Venus. And um, when someone has personal planets in the sign of Gemini, as you have, Gemini relates to the physical part of the body, which is the arms and the hands. So you might find yourself working with your arms and hands, or maybe speaking, talking with your arms and hands.
Mhm. Yep.
Do you use your hands when you speak?
Sometimes, yeah. I'm trying to control that.
Well, Venus in Gemini oh, actually, I'm sorry. I looked at it. I read it wrong. There's Mercury retrograde. That's miscommunication, misunderstanding, and I just did one myself. Pardon me. Your Mars and Venus are actually in your ninth house in Gemini, though your 10th house cusp is in Gemini, but right on the edge of Cancer. So Mars and Venus in Gemini in the ninth house, that's your philosophical house. That's teaching. That would imply that you have a lot of energy and that you love teaching, sharing information, speaking about um, just sharing facts and information, perhaps from foreign lands or exotic philosophies, spiritual philosophies and teachings. You would get a lot of energy and pleasure out of sharing that kind of thing.
Mhm. I do have a lot of energy. I tire myself sometimes.
And because your career house cusp, see how close it is to Cancer, the edge of Cancer. So when you're real close to the cusp of a sign, it gives a very powerful boost to that sign that you are near the cusp of, especially the beginning cusp of Cancer. So that means your career is very Cancerian. It's about taking care of people, protecting people, nurturing people, um, almost like parenting, looking out for them and being very sensitive to their needs and a good listener to see what their needs are, their emotions, their feelings, and all of that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So while you love information and sharing um, all kinds of information from different parts of the world or different philosophies and teachings from all over, that's what you love. That comes very naturally to you. You're very open about that. What you need is over here, your moon, Leo in the 11th house. Um, Interesting. So you need, Leo is to shine from your heart, to be creative, um, to express almost like royalty. Leo is a royal kind of energy. So like you're a queen or a king or nobility, holding court, right? Sharing your creativity and your love from deep in your heart in the 11th house, which with large spiritual and humanitarian organizations or groups of friends. I don't know if you are involved in any kinds of groups like that, whether they're spiritual, religious, humanitarian, or just groups of friends, hobbies.
Groups of friends, hobbies.
Okay. Well, they look to you for leadership and you have a need. And when you do share from your heart with groups of friends interested in similar activities and hobbies, when you do share, you feel a deep fulfillment. This is what you need to feel deep subconscious happiness. I don't know if that resonates with you at all.
Interesting. And I'll leave it at that.
Because Virgo rising is kind of diffident or shy, you know. Virgo rising doesn't like to make big waves or be the center of attention. It likes to kind of serve in the background. So in these groups of friends, you're being called by your moon, your star chart to open your heart and share with them and serve in a sort of leadership capacity, but in a very loving way, like the benevolent queen or the benevolent king.
Mhm.
And they will
I
really look.
usually like
Yeah.
to go on the background. I don't like to be the center. I like to just, play, listen. That's it. Always on the back. But
Got
yeah,
it.
everybody's always expecting me to step up, and I do take leadership, but I'm always doing it from a low profile.
Yes. Kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I hope you will continue doing that because that brings you, whether you realize it's unconscious, it's subconscious happiness, and that's the deepest kind of happiness. Like me, I can stay at home and I'm happy as a bug in a rug with my movies and snacks and Netflix and Hulu and all that. But then I have to push myself to go out. My moon is in the career house, healing and teaching, and I go and do that. And at first I'm like, I really don't feel like doing this. But then I go and I do it and I feel so fulfilled. It's a sense of fulfillment that you'll get from allowing yourself to serve, even if it's behind the scenes.
Yeah, I feel good about, and I do it all the time, but everybody's always, you should step out, you should be leader. I'm like, no, I'm good back here and I'll take care of things and I feel good about it, but I like doing it from behind the scenes. I don't like to be the center. I
You
end
have
up being always, but I don't like it.
Yes, it's something that you need, even if you don't like, even if you don't love it. And you have the sign of one of the asteroids. Remember, I was talking about that. There's over 1 million asteroids, cosmic uh, chunks from the formation of the solar system, and one of them is called Vesta, which is named after the Vestal Virgin. So when you do, this is also near your moon, so in your 11th house. So the way you are showing up and serving them, even if it's behind the scenes, it's with a great purity. It's a very pure kind of innocent way that you're showing up and serving them, even though it's behind the scenes, because the Vestal Virgin is really very shy. And hard to bring them out into the light, but you have tremendous love in your heart that you can share with those groups. They will appreciate it. Over here, we have your, oh, I didn't do your North and South node yet, did I? So North node in Pisces in the 6th, South node in Virgo in the 12th. Okay, so whether or not you believe in past lives and reincarnation, you developed very, very highly this capacity to gather information and to organize it and to serve it up to people and to help people and support them with information, helping them to perfect things, helping them to solve problems. You are excellent at this. You have enormous skill sets. You're a natural at it. And traditional astrologers would say, oh, you got to be careful because you'll dig yourself into a hole with that if you do it to excess. And because we live in this physical world with the pairs of opposites, your star map is suggesting you can balance that with the opposite, which is Pisces, which is healing, which is letting go of all the details and with letting go of trying to organize everything and just sort of feel your way, trust in the universe. Like, who was it in Star Wars? Said, trust the Force, Luke. Close your eyes and just trust your intuition and the Force. And it's in the 6th house, which is the house of helping friends. So yeah, you have some spiritual gifts there that you're being invited to develop to balance out all that, the hard facts and information that you're so good with. After you investigate and do your research and get all the facts, then you're being invited to come over here toward Pisces, to meditate, to let go of the mind and to really focus in on your intuitive wisdom, your intuitive guidance from the heart, and let that inform the way you and you also have here this is a very powerful asteroid called Pallas Athena. And look how it's right. Yeah, it's right there with your North Node. So Pallas Athena is your creative intelligence. You have tremendous creative intelligence that will be enhanced when you let go of all the facts and figures and research and come into a sort of a spiritual space. And you'll be able to use all that creative intelligence and you'll develop the polar opposite of what you've already developed. And you'll be more balanced in the way you're able to help friends. And also, Pisces is a very gentle kind of energy. So, you know, when you're over here and you're getting facts and information, you give it to friends and you're meaning to be helpful and supportive, but sometimes they receive Virgo energy as criticizing them, showing them what they're doing wrong or something, and people can misinterpret it as criticism or judgment. Over here, it's Pisces, very, very gentle. It's like asking them, what do you think of this? Right? It's presenting it in a very humble, tender, gentle way, not like hard facts. More creative. I don't know if that's sounds helpful at all.
Very. It's funny that you mentioned that before because my friends do call me Google as a joke. It's an internal joke. They don't bother, just ask Angela. That's Google right there for you. But yes, my Pisces is at work because I've gotten, they say that I get away with murder. I usually tell them what I think, but in a gentle way. They go, you insult us in our face, but it doesn't come as an insult. You get away with it. So I've been told that before. So it's funny that you're saying that.
And one last thing I'll share over here is your seventh house, your house of love and partnership. Fifth house is dating and romance and having fun, meeting different people. And it's in cusp is in Capricorn, which is kind of a serious approach. You might meet people or even be interested in possibly dating some people that you meet through work or through work projects or through the office or whatever. But the fifth house is just dating, romance, having fun, nothing serious. The seventh house is more serious. This is the house of committed relationships, marriage, and things like that. And it's in the sign of Pisces. So it can be very spiritual and healing for you. Also, Pisces has this tremendous gentleness and shyness, almost self-effacing, sometimes feeling insecure about it. But you have all these wonderful asteroids in your house of partnership, love, and marriage. Chiron, the wounded healer. So if you enter into a committed relationship with someone, you're likely to be healing them, helping them. And with Chiron, don't expect a lot of gratitude. Something about Chiron, it's karma. People come to who need healing through a relationship. And when they're healed, they're like, so what? And you're like, hey, I just did well. I helped you. They're like, hey, thanks, but it's almost like they expect it of you.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And then you have this wonderful asteroid here, which is Ceres, Ceres, Ceres or Ceres. That's the natural maternal instinct. So you're able to mother and nurture and care for and take care of partners when you enter into committed relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You might spoil them some.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have Juno, which is the asteroid associated with the mythological figure who is the ideal spouse, the perfect spouse. You enter into committed relationships with every intention of helping them and supporting them, being the ideal perfect spouse.
I've been dumped. I'm too good to be true.
And all three of those are in the sign of Aries, which gives them strength and power. And sometimes you may find yourself getting impatient with those people that you enter into relationships with, because Aries wants results. It wants, let's do this. Come on, let's do it. Let's start this and let's get some results and let's find new ways. And if they're not on board, then it could be frustrating. You could feel impatient.
You are describing me to the T. Like lighting up a rocket behind them. That's funny. That's very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you enjoyed that.
I am.
So the next time somebody says, you actually believe in astrology, just tell
Oh
them
yeah.
it's a language. It's a language. Do you believe in Mandarin or Chinese, or do you believe in Russian or
A good way of putting it. Thank you. This was very interesting. Steve, at the end, is it possible for you to send us personally each astrology when you read, and we can maybe set up another time to go over it in detail?
yeah,
That'd be good.
absolutely.
Thank you.
You're
This was
welcome.
very entertaining. I mean, not entertaining in a demeanful way, but it's funny to hear somebody describe me.
And the one of the main things to walk away with and to remember is the passion is to find your gifts. And I think you've pretty much found them and you kind of know what they are. And then your purpose is in sharing them, according to your star map.
Yep.
Gives you a sense of purpose, which we all need in our lives,
Mm-hmm. It sure does. Yep.
So let's see, who else?
I'm being called a good nerd. Nerdiness pays off.
Well, nerdiness is in the nerds and the geeks. When I was in school, we were the lowest rung of the social ladder in school. But and since technology has gotten popular and blossomed in Western culture, nerds and geeks kind of rule.
Exactly. I always joke about it. I said, I'm a nerd. They look at me. I go, I'm a nerd in disguise. Okay. But yeah, I'm really nerdy. Like you said, now it's like, okay, you're cool. You're one of us now.
That's right. Hey, Tree, is John with us now? I know you're probably muted, so you might want to unmute, or John might want to unmute. Maybe, Tree, maybe you know your brother than he knows himself, so maybe you want to. Let's give her a moment to unmute because she's been having some difficulty unmuting on her phone.
I'm not with John right this second, so I'm not sure, but I think you should just go on to someone else and skip us for last.
Oh, okay. So, but John is not on the Zoom, right?
He was on the phone, but I don't know.
He is showing on in the participants. If you look up there, his name is
Oh,
there.
is there a way, actually to invite John to unmute himself?
Well, he can hear us, so if he can do it this way.
Okay,
He's
let's see.
technologically challenged, so I'm not sure if he knows how.
Oh, okay. Well, he has a very interesting chart, and while he figures out how to unmute himself, because we want this to be interactive, right?
I think then it'll have to. Can you do him last? Do you have
Yeah.
another one? Because I think when you call from the phone, then there are fewer options to do things. Because I
Oh,
can't even click the ask to unmute button.
oh, right. Okay, so we can move on to trees or yours, Meenakshi.
Do
Or
Meenakshi
Trees.
first,
No,
or
mine
someone
has
else.
been done. I know mine. You did with me. Please do
okay,
trees.
Is there
trees.
someone
Okay.
else, Melissa, or
Oh,
No,
anyone?
no
Melissa.
one else trees. So please receive what is being given.
Melissa
Be
is here,
open
but
to receive.
oh, that's
Steve,
Can you hear me
John.
please
now?
do trees.
That's John. We just got John.
Oh, we
Yeah,
got
I
John. Perfect.
the phone told me what to do to unmute.
Good. Okay, John. So, John, would you like this to be included in the Zoom recording?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm June 14th, 1958.
Yeah. We got it right here, but so here's your chart, John. Let me introduce you to your star map. Shake hands. I know you can't see it
Okay.
because you're on the phone, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so this is ultimately about our passion, which is to find our gifts, and our purpose, which is then to share our gifts. And your chart is interesting because you you have Taurus rising, and when Taurus is on the ascendant, it means if you go back to Baltimore at the time and date when you were born, you look up at the sky, the constellation Taurus was on the horizon. It was rising.
Right.
And that means that people see you as someone who's stable, grounded, steady, basically peaceful, peace-loving, and in touch with your senses. You're very much in touch with the physical world. I don't know if that sounds like you at all.
Yeah, sure. That sounds right.
Mhm. And but your sun is in Gemini in the second house, so people see you, the world sees you in that Taurian, Taurus kind of light, but at your core, so that's on the outside, but at your core, you're all about facts and information and ideas and discussing and sharing information and perhaps with siblings, also taking short trips. And this is a chart of somebody, Mercury in Gemini in the second house. They would maybe like trips, like traveling. I don't know if that rings true to you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Sure.
And you've got the asteroid called the Vesta, which is the asteroid named after the Vestal Virgin. So when you share information, in fact, you're able to do it in a very pure, selfless way. There's something about how you're able to share information, share ideas to be helpful to people without necessarily any gain for yourself or any ulterior motive.
What was that asteroid called?
It's called Vesta, Vesta, and it's named after
Okay.
The Vestal Virgin.
Okay.
And your chart has an opposition here, which shows there's a lot of seriousness in the way you express yourself, the way you share facts and information. You can be quite serious about it. Now, here in your first house, you've got Venus in Taurus. Okay, Venus is very much at home in the sign of Taurus, and it's near your ascendant. So that means you love exploring the outside world for different kinds of experiences, different things to see, different things to hear, perhaps the arts, perhaps creature comforts or delicious foods. This is a chart of someone who will go, who will drive quite a few miles to try that particular restaurant. I don't know if that's you. Are you a restaurant lover?
Well, I like
Gourmet?
to try new things.
Yeah. You
That's
love
for
gourmet.
sure.
You love
I
gourmet
like
food?
all kinds of food, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the Taurus in me. I
Yes.
think my moon's in Taurus also.
Moon in Taurus as well. Moon and Venus both in Taurus. So you love that and you need that. So it's very important for you to follow your heart toward those experiences because you need to, and it's on the ascendant. So you need to go out. That's the outside world. That's how the outside world sees you. That's you relating to the outside world. You need to follow those things that attract your senses, whatever it may be, food, restaurant, parties, concerts, museums, the arts, or just it could even be going to the movies or watching streaming things.
Yeah, that's me. Movies and concerts.
Mm-hmm.
Love music.
Yes.
Pretty things. Sunsets, sunrises, nature.
Mm. That's the groundedness in the earth, right? The being in touch with your senses and with Mother Earth.
Yeah. I Yeah,
Now,
I enjoy a good sunrise and sunset.
yeah. Now your north and south node are in a very interesting place. Similar to Angela, it's on a cusp. Double check that. True node, yeah, 0 degrees and just barely into Scorpio. So you're right on the cusp between Libra and Scorpio. Libra, Scorpio. So, and it's in the sixth house. That implies that you already have very highly developed um, Scorpio, let's see, Aries, Taurus. So you have very highly developed your sense, your physical senses, your sense of values, of money, of material possessions, uh, and that comes very easily and very naturally to you. It's in your 12th house. So there's something almost healing and spiritual about that. Like you, the 12th house is meditation. It's escaping. It's getting away from everything. So and it's it's right on the cusp of Aries. So you have a strong sense of your own personal values around money and material things and material pleasures, sensual pleasures, and all of those things. And because it's in the 12th house, you could undo yourself by overindulging or getting too focused on all of that. And what balances it for you, and which you are well equipped to develop, is this over here, the polar opposite. Scorpio, Libra, Scorpio cusp, slightly more into Scorpio in the 6th house. So you are being challenged and given opportunities to develop your capacity to see through. Scorpio is seeing through to the bottom, seeing past the facade, not being taken in by wealthy people or fancy things or pretentious organizations or companies or investments, all that kind of stuff. You're being challenged not to be taken in, not to be impressed, not to be swayed by the facade, right, of success or elegance or beauty and just for show. You're being challenged here to, especially among your friends. The 6th house is house of friends, being helpful to friends, serving friends. So you're being challenged to look more deeply. What's the essence of these people? How do they treat me? How do they treat others? Do they love themselves? Do they reflect their values? Do they walk the talk? If it's just Taurus in the 12th house, it can be a facade. It can be hiding behind the appearance of wealth or money or power or influence. But over here, there's no hiding. You can see right through to who they really are. Do I really want to be friends with these people? Do I want to associate with them? Do I want to invest in this? Do you see what I'm saying, John?
Sure.
I don't know if it sounds like your experience at all. Can you relate to that polarity?
I can relate to that. Sure.
And you also have Jupiter in Libra in the 6th. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of more, more, more. Just keep growing and expanding. So, and Libra is committed relationship, loving, and 6th house is friends. So you would want to expand your commitment to your friends and expand the way you help them. You want to help them more and more, and sometimes to where you just can't help them anymore, right? Where you expand beyond your capacity and making commitments to friends or groups of friends, especially where the arts are concerned. Libra is in your 6th house. That's the sign of the arts, of things of beauty, things of value. It's the sign of relationships and love. I would guess you really have an expansive sense of love, of helping your friends.
Well, to a point, and then when you don't think they appreciate you, you just give up, or at least what I do.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Well, let's see, what else do we have here? 7th house cusp in Scorpio. So when you enter into, your 5th house is in Leo and you've got Pluto in there. So when you are into just having fun or meeting new people or dating or romance, it's it's very creative, romantic. It's from the heart. You put your heart out there, and you have deep feelings, even when you're just attracted to someone or looking to date or to form a new relationship. But over here in the seventh house, this is more committed relationship. If you were to, and I'm not saying you're in a committed relationship or that you need to be or anything, but seventh house is committed relationship, partnership, marriage. It's more serious kind of relationship, and it's in Scorpio. So that's very deep. There's deep passionate feelings around that. Scorpio is the sign of merging together completely to becoming like one. And that's your idea of a serious, committed relationship like marriage. Deep, passionate feelings around that. And then your fourth house, cause home and family is in Cancer. And you've got, yeah, which is a very sensitive, nurturing kind of sign, highly sensitive to people's needs and feelings, how you can help to support their feelings and their needs. And you've got Juno, the asteroid named after the ideal spouse. I see some similarities here between your chart and Angela's. So you want to be the ideal spouse, and it's in Leo. So you want to share generously from your heart, like a benevolent king in the home and family. You want to be the perfect um, spouse or partner or supporter or leader, perhaps leader. Leo is a sign of leadership. Juno is the ideal spouse, the ideal person. You have this idealism about home and family that you really want it to be. You want to show up in the most perfect way, and you want to. Ceres is another asteroid. What this is about nurturing in a maternal or paternal way. So you want to nurture the family. You want to show up in the most ideal way as an ideal spouse, nurturing, mothering, fathering, taking care of people in the home and family like a benevolent king in a very generous, giving way. But then Uranus is also in that house of home and family. So that throws you a lot of curveballs, right? Unexpected changes, sudden changes, things being rearranged. That you really didn't plan on, that sometimes makes it challenging to show up in this perfect nurturing ways that you really want to. Does that sound like it's on point?
It could be, yeah. At times, I suppose.
Uh-huh. And over here you have Mars and Aries in the 12th house. Mars and Aries is very direct. So the way you go after what you want is very direct. I know what I want. I'm going after it. But it's in the 12th house in Pisces, which sometimes creates some confusion or uncertainty or insecurity about your strategy, how to go after what you want. And with Mars and Aries, sometimes you can get impatient or frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of us, right?
Sure.
And here you have something in your chart similar to what I have in my chart. Chiron, the sign of the wounded healer in Aquarius in the 11th house. Wow. Um, that means that in any spiritual or religious organizations or humanitarian groups or charities or groups of friends with common ideals that you get involved with, you are going to serve as the wounded healer. You'll be able to help people because you've been through you've dealt with and healed some of the wounds that people in these groups are going through, and they're going to come to you looking for help and support and healing. Have you ever had that experience in your life?
Not really. I mean, not to any degree, really.
I don't mean healing in terms of hands-on healing or, medical healing or health healing. I'm talking more about healing relationships, healing their experience with the group or with the organization or with the other friends.
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean, I give people advice and try to help them based on my experiences, but people don't always pay attention or care or listen.
Exactly. But giving advice, is supportive. That's trying to heal people. In that part
Okay. Well, yeah.
in that area, yeah, in that area of your life. And yeah, you are the wounded healer in those circles, and you have this capacity to give advice that would really help them if they would only listen to it. Your career house is in Capricorn, which is very good for hard work, for working hard, climbing, taking the high road, the slow and steady route to trying to achieve something in your work, in your career. And it would indicate that you're quite serious about your work and trying to get somewhere toward your goals or your objectives in your work and career. People with Capricorn in the career house sometimes work themselves half to death.
Yeah.
And here in your third house, you have one of the asteroids, Pallas Athena, in Cancer. So you have tremendous creative intelligence to communicate with family, with friends that you want to nurture and care for. You could give emotional support to people. Pallas Athena has tremendous creative intelligence, and that's where your creative intelligence gifts shine the most. The third house of communication, with friends, with siblings, with family. So that is pretty much you, John, in a nutshell. I almost said in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Did you have any questions that are not predictive in nature, but more about the essence of your soul map and your strengths and weaknesses and all that?
No, I don't have any questions right now, no.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us have a look, have a gaze into the unique planetary configuration that is you, that is yours.
Okay.
Did you know that even twins who are identical twins and were born just a few minutes apart, same location, almost the same time, most of their planets are the same. Their ascendant and their houses might differ based on 3, 5, 10 minutes difference in the time of birth. But even identical twins who are born real close together and they have all the same houses and planets, um, they they have a lot of similarities, but they develop in their own ways based on, there's nature and nurture. So the nurture side is they each have their own experience of life. They each make their own friends. They each pursue their own education, different things they're interested in. And so they're not like clones of each other, but they're starting out with the similar planetary energies.
Right.
Well, thanks, John. That was interesting.
Well, I just want to say a couple of things. Some of the things where he didn't notice, I think I noticed, and there was lots of things that were right on that he might not have paid as much attention to, or like when you said, he would selflessly give or something, and I'm thinking, I don't know another soul on the planet that would spend several hours planning a trip with me that he is not going on, and he would go through every hotel, every car, every airline. It's like, but he's not even going, and that's like selflessly giving. I think that was one of the aspects you mentioned, stuff like that. And yeah, everything you said, it was like, I thought it was right on. And
That's that's Vesta in Vesta in Gemini in his second house. Yeah. The Vestal Virgin helps. They give all they can, and it's completely selfless.
yeah, he might not notice that, but I noticed it because there are a lot of other people like that. People would say, I ain't going on that trip, I ain't helping, he'll spend hours helping. Yeah, he's good at that. So yeah, I definitely saw everything you saw, Steve. I just want to say that was a great reading, and yeah, I thought that was great.
Thank you. Thank you. Tree, would you like to have yours next?
If you have time, sure, whatever. I mean, I don't know how everybody's time is, but do you mind to help yourself?
How are we for time, Meenakshi?
Meenakshi wants to do hers, that's fine too.
No, because mine has
wait.
already been done. Please, Steve, go ahead with Tree.
Okay.
Was there anyone else that we're still waiting on that you wanted to talk
Tree,
to?
please just receive.
I could do it with Steve later if we had to, but I'm sure
No,
everybody
it's
else
yours.
make sure
It's your
they have enough
turn.
time for everyone else.
Tree, it's
Mhm.
your time.
Nobody else gave their birth data, so you can only do those who have their accurate birth data.
It's ready. Okay.
So look at this. We call you Tree, but your first name is actually Teresa. And did you notice these blue lines, this triangle here? That's called a grand trine. I have one in my chart too. Yours is different. It's in.
Can you show this chart? Because I didn't see John's chart or mine when you were talking about it. You said, can you see this? And are you showing a screen share or something? Because I didn't see it for him or me.
I'm sorry. Typical Mercury retrograde. I had stopped sharing and I forgot to restart sharing. Let me go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you didn't put mine up either, so that's why I asked you to send it to me later. If you'd want to do that, that'd be fine.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Share screen. Here it is.
I think we saw yours, Steve.
That's the only one that we saw. If you want to, if you want to send us, each one individually our charts, that will be super cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Can you see it now?
Yes,
I can.
we can.
Well, yes.
Good. So I was pointing out these blue lines. That's the trine angle. The most harmonious angle in astrology is the 120-degree angle. And you got three of them here in a perfect triangle. That's called a grand trine. And you've got it between Mars and Jupiter and Neptune. So there's an easy flow of energy between those three planets. Mars is your strategy of going after what you want, your energy, your strategy for going after what you want and need, especially having to do with the family, taking care of the family. It's making a harmonious angle with Jupiter and Pisces, which is Jupiter is expansion, like more and more and more, and Pisces is selflessness and helping selflessly, giving, very charitable nature that just expands and expands and expands. And here you've got the wounded healer, Chiron, the asteroid, which is the wounded healer. So these are wounds, perhaps both of them. See the little R? Both of them were in retrograde motion when you were born. So this is stuff from the past. This is karmic stuff. The wounded healer expanding in this very selfless area. Could have to do with your career too, because all this is in your career house. And then it's also trining your natal Neptune in Scorpio, which is Neptune is connected to Pisces. Neptune is the planet that rules the sign of Pisces. So there's a lot of water signs here. These are the three water signs, and you've got all of them in a grand trine. I do too, also have them in the water sign. So this is a sign of someone who gives a lot, more and more and more. And it's wounding to them, and they are the wounded healer. In perhaps in past lifetimes, you went through the kind of tragedies that you're helping people with now. And now, because these are retrograde, these are from the past, you're being called to to heal them, to help them, and support them through these very difficult things they're going through. And Neptune and Scorpio in the sixth house. Oh my goodness. Right on the cusp of the sixth house. Neptune is the planet of selflessness, of spirituality, of healing, of giving. And it's in Scorpio, which is deep. You have a deep, passionate need to want to give, to help, to serve, to give selflessly. And it's right on the cusp of the sixth house. So you show up that way for your friends, groups of friends, very, very helpful, selfless to your friends. Does that sound like you, Tree? I know you're probably muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds like her.
Oh, it does. Okay. There's other people chiming in. I love that. Yeah, Steve. I think we had this talk not long ago. I'd like to get rid of that part, and I'm good there. Okay. I'm good. No, I'm constantly helping people. I love helping people. No, you're right on there. Honestly, you're right on. Yeah.
Well, remember how Venus is what you love and the moon is what you need. So Venus, fifth house in Libra. Oh my goodness, you love love. You just love love. You love the arts. You love beauty. You love the the finer things when you can get them. Um, uh, Libra is relationships, good manners, harmony and peace, and you absolutely love that. And you're it's such when you just love fifth house as being playful, creative, playful, romantic, meeting new people. You just love people. You love love. You love relationships, especially when they're harmonious and happy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Right on it. Oh, totally. Yeah.
So that comes naturally to you. But the moon is what you need. Unconscious, this is a subconscious need. And I'm glad you said what you said because like you said, I've had enough of that, you know. Likewise with me, my moon is up in the career house. I need to go out and help people to meditate and help them to see the light and all of that. But I don't really like to. Sometimes I think I don't want to do this anymore. But when I do it, I feel this deep sense of fulfillment. And that's what your moon is right there in between Scorpio and Sag, slightly more in Sag, in the sixth house of helping friends with information, with support, with research, right? You do deep dives into research and you send it off to your friends.
Steve, I think we need to talk about my evil side. We have enough of that. We're good. That's you're not trying to attract more of
That's
this.
exactly her. You know, Steve, when we used to do our meetings, then you could be sure that Tree will quickly do research and quickly bring out some information and share it with everyone. So that's
Yes.
exactly her.
And
Oh,
you
thank
need
you,
to,
actually.
yeah, and you need
I
to
need
do
to do
that.
this. Okay.
Well,
I need to do this. Listen.
it's for your subconscious, your deep subconscious happiness and fulfillment. You may not like to do it. You may think, oh God, this again, I'm so tired of this. But you still need to do it. And when you do it, especially with the coming from the heart, with Venus in the fifth house, coming from the heart and giving from the heart, then it's very fulfilling. It's really good for your emotional well-being. there's a lot of feelings involved, a lot of emotions. This grand trine is in Cancer, which is the need to nurture and care for others. Scorpio, the need to get to the bottom, help people solve mysteries. And there's deep, passionate feelings around wanting to get to the bottom of the research. You won't just stop at a couple of little things. You'll dig deep. You'll find the whole thing, you know? And Jupiter and Chiron in Pisces, this is the feeling of longing for escape, for healing, for meditation, for going to other worlds, for just leaving everything behind, transcending all of this. And see, because you have a lot of I wouldn't say evil, but because we're focusing on positive astrology, but see all these red lines? Those are challenging angles, like 90-degree angles. And those create tension. We need some tension to make music. You got plenty of tension and plenty of harmony. For instance, your moon makes a challenging angle to Uranus in the family house. Moon over here in the groups of friends, needing to help groups of friends, but it can create some stress within the family, or unexpected surprises, or emotional upheavals. See that red line between the moon and Uranus? Uranus is very unpredictable, surprising. So that just suggests that you check in with yourself. Is that John?
Oh,
John, we can hear you if you want to mute, unless you're saying something. I don't know if you're praying. I don't know if you know how to unmute. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. And it's like, I've actually had many people tell me things like, and I take it negatively, but like, you're a codependent, you got to just stop helping people. It's like, but you kind of, they're like, well, that's just your chart, that's who you are. It's like, I'm not sure that I can really change that, or I guess really want to, or whatever. If you're saying I get subconscious fulfillment from that, that's great. I'm not sure, there's, I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's that's a kind of a psychology term, codependent. It's this kind of a judgy term, because it's suggesting that you need to be needed, right? And that you just don't have a life without taking care of the family
Right.
completely, and that you're not living your own full life, and that you're stuck in this, and that they're stuck depending on you, and you're stuck depending on them, and it's unhealthy. But that's there could be some truth to that, but in positive astrology, we emphasize the positive. So you do have this need. This is an authentic need. And if you were to just try to ignore it, say, well, I'm not doing that anymore because it's codependent, there's going to be some unfulfilled need here to contribute. So the question is to check in with yourself, with your emotions, with your feelings, when you engage in all that selflessness and helping and caregiving and caretaking. Check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? Maybe I don't have to do this right now, or maybe I could talk to someone and beg off. Maybe there's someone else who could help out or pinch hit in this situation. But if you're the only one, then you're just going to force yourself to do it, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think this is sort of an example of that. In acupuncture terms, my old acupuncture lady that I used to go to, you would say, "Oh, your earth is off," and then you would say, like, sometimes, like, "Oh, maybe you're just helping too many people or something." And then when my earth was off the other way, she says, "You got to start helping people. You're not helping enough people." It's like there's just a balance. I know what you're saying. I understand. It's funny. It's true. So anybody on the call that needs help, I'm like a born helper. I will be glad to help anyone, and I'm very serious about that. And I really have a lot of
Especially,
good experience there, and I will be glad to help any of you on the call. Just let me know.
especially with research, you're better than AI.
I love it. That's great. That's good, Steve. Me and yeah. Oh, Angela was good at research too. Maybe we could need to get together,
Yes.
write a book or something. I love that. Thank you, Steve.
So here you have also a challenging aspect between Mars and Mars here in Cancer and Mercury in Libra. So that's because your Mars in Cancer is based on your moods, your energy, your feeling in the moment. Do I want to go out and nurture and help, especially family, or am I feeling tired, or you know, what's my energy like today or right now? And it's that planetary placement makes a challenging aspect to your Mercury in Libra because the way you think is in terms of relationships, fairness, balance, good manners, being polite, being nice. So there's an internal struggle. Wouldn't call it evil at all. It's just an internal struggle that your mind is thinking, gee, I wanna hold up my end of the bargain. I value these relationships. I want to be kind and nice and harmonious. I don't want to create any disruption or discord. But my Mars sometimes is going to have a lot of energy to care for people. Other times it's going Mars in Cancer can be moody, right? I'm sorry, some people don't like that word, but if your Mars is in a tired mood or a grumpy, cranky mood, then that you have the capacity to always check in your moods with your moon. How am I feeling? What kind of energy do I have right now? How am I feeling today? Is this just a momentary mood or a passing thing? Maybe I'll wait. Let me hold off before I reply to that email that really pissed me off. Or maybe I'll take a nap and look at this situation again. Check in with my energy. So you do have tremendous creative intelligence right here in your first house in Gemini. That's the research. Creative intelligence, Gemini, first house cusp. So people see you as someone who has a lot of information and ideas. That's how you relate to the outside world, and you bring creative intelligence to that. So you're given to searching out there for information and ideas. But your sun is Virgo, deep in your core, you're about service, helping others, finding the flaws, finding the mistakes, finding the imperfections and correcting them. And people will, because you've got Pluto right there too. So it comes across so intense sometimes that people think, you're criticizing me. Why do you have to be so judgmental? Right? Why are you always pointing out the mistakes or what needs to be improved?
Right, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that is the entity we know as tree. And let me look at one other thing here. That's pretty much all I've got for you for now. I mean, Jupiter and Chiron are together and they both oppose your Sun and your Pluto and Uranus in the fourth house. So that creates some tension also. And like I said, remember, tension is not bad. It's a challenge and it tightens the strings so that we can make more music without any tension. People who have only harmonious angles among all their planets, their life is like too easy. There's nothing going on. There's no challenge. There's nothing to learn or nothing to balance.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
And I already
Wonderful.
did I already do your North Node?
I don't know. What was
Let's
it?
see, True Node 8 degrees Leo. Okay. I think I forgot to do that. Yeah, here we go. So North Node, 8 degrees Leo right here in the third house. That means what you very highly developed in past lifetimes is up here in your 9th house. Aquarius, new age ideas, progressive ideas. Can't we all figure out a way to live together in harmony and peace? Can't we take care of everyone's needs and we'll just let everyone have their freedom to be however they want to be, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, right? New age groups, organizations, teachings. 9th house is teachings, philosophies, perhaps from exotic lands, from faraway lands, about how we can all just become humanitarian and more spiritual, more advanced, right? So you've developed this very highly in the 9th house. So you're able to teach this stuff, right?
Okay.
But Aquarius implies larger organizations or groups where you are kind of limited in your freedom of expression. You're trying to toe the company line and trying to be in harmony with the group and not to stand out too much. But your North Node is suggesting in this lifetime, you have opportunities to balance that out. And Leo in the 3rd house, to Leo is to shine from the heart, to speak from the heart. 3rd house is self-expression, speaking ideas and information, facts, sharing them generously from the heart, and not being afraid, not being concerned about whether it's in line with whatever group or religion or new age philosophy, you know, going off on your own, freedom of expression, like you're a queen or a king or some kind of royalty. And people will respond to that because the Leo is the heart. If you're speaking from the heart and speaking your truth, people will respond to that. You can help a lot of people, you can reach a lot of people. And there's something very attractive to you about that, because you have the asteroid Eros right here near your North Node. So you're drawn, you're pulled, you feel this attraction to share your truth, to speak openly from your heart, not to worry so much about what certain bodies of teachings have told you can and can't say, right? I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
It sounds like it's kind of a new concept. Is it?
What do you think, Meenakshi? I gotta get a group opinion.
Huh.
I don't know. What do you think, Tree?
Yeah, all the therapists say what matters is what you think.
Yeah, right. I think that's something I'm still learning. Speaking from the heart, sharing my truth, all that. I think it's, as you saying, that's what I'm learning in this lifetime. I think that sounds like that's stuff I'm still learning. Is that what you mean?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
learning it and you're having opportunities to develop that. And also, Leo is leadership. Um, you in the past lifetimes, your past gifts are you were a more of a follower of the teachings,
Okay.
and you studied hard and you learned them well, but you didn't want to rock the boat. You didn't want to, you were comfortable in a structure, right?
Sure.
Structured group or structured teaching philosophy.
Right.
Here, you're being challenged to hang on to that because there's a lot of value in all you learned there, but to find creative freedom from your heart. And Leo is a sign of leadership, of royal leadership. So you have opportunities to become your own leader, to speak from the heart, to lead others from the heart. 3rd house is siblings and also short trips. You could be the leader on little trips. You could say, "Follow me, follow the leader. I won't steer you wrong. I'll help you find the vegan chocolate fudge cake in Fort Lauderdale."
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful.
I can add now because she said what she did, if you want me to, Tree.
Oh, absolutely. Help yourself.
Because what I feel is that Tree has got a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, information, but she doesn't give herself enough, she doesn't give it enough importance, you know? So she speaks as if she's just sort of very, very fast, as if, you know, like, you don't really have to listen to me. I'm just saying what I want to say, but that's okay. I mean, just go on. You know, it's like that. She doesn't give
Self-effacing
herself importance.
and self-effacing, right?
Yes, too much. And I have told her this before.
Well, this may be, you know, the North Node, I still see you as relatively young because I'm kind of ancient. I'm an old soul, but the North Node things develop usually midlife or later, right? Because you're being prepared for that. It's not it's oh,
There's
sorry.
still hope. There's still hope for me, Meenakshi. Listen to Steve. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so there's no rush, but when you're ready, this is what you will do, and it will balance you out in a way that you get to draw on all that education and teaching and reading and research that you've done, and you understand a bunch of different philosophies, foreign philosophies, new age philosophies, exotic philosophies, and you'll be able to share from the heart spontaneously and with authority. And this is what you're having a hard time with now because you're still relatively young. So it's like a seedling, and you will water it and grow it, and your friends around you who are supportive and understanding will help you to step into your power and your authority. And let me tell you, it's not easy because remember in my chart, I'm up here. I was in my 11th house, the house of in Taurus. I was all about fitting into the big humanitarian or religious groups and contributing money and, talking about all my great contributions and stuff and fitting in. I so wanted to fit in. We have this need for acceptance, right? That's what you're feeling, Tree, is the need for acceptance to fit in. And I needed to, my North Node is over here in the fifth house in Scorpio, going deep into my own creativity, my own opinions, speaking with authority, with power. And it was so, so hard for me to start doing that. I was worried, oh my gosh, what will my friends in science of spirituality think? What will my family think? They were all raised, we were all born and raised into a Jewish culture, not very religious, but um, I just couldn't imagine. I feel so safe and comfortable just fitting in to the group, being a tiny cog in the wheel, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're ready and when you start venturing into your power of speaking with more confidence and creativity and from the heart spontaneously, and taking your time and not effacing yourself, but saying, excuse me, I really want you to hear me on this. This is going to take me a couple minutes. And if you ask for the time to stand in your power and to realize what you have to say is important, um, people will then listen and you can speak more slowly so that people can take it in. Sometimes you speak so rapidly that it has almost like a staccato rhythm to it, and it's hard to vibrate with that for some people to resonate with it. So now we're getting into some really deep stuff. I know, Tree, we're really jumping down your throat here, but
Great. No, that was perfect. I love that. I never even thought of it that way. That's wonderful. I loved every minute. Yeah, that's great.
remember, this is called positive astrology for self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is what we come here, not just to learn about the world and all the teachings and other people, but also to understand ourselves and how we fit in, what role we can play to maximize our contributions of our gifts. And your gift is speaking,
I think
sharing
it's more about
information.
people listening, though, not just that, what I say is important. I mean, I think it's more like being listened to. I mean, if you say it in the wrong way, you can, like you said with the other girl, like you could say some people would just think you're a know-it-all or Mr. Google or something. And it's like, well, if you say it in that regard, then people don't listen. So it's kind of tricky to have the right how to have people listen, and that's maybe something I don't that I can work on.
And asking, you can do nonviolent communication. You can request. You could say, hey, I hear there's a lot going on. I know other people have things to say, and I really want to listen, and I value your input. I need a few minutes to share something that it's going to take me a few minutes to really formulate and to express clearly. Would you all be willing to just give me a few minutes? And just, if you give me your full attention, it will help me to express more clearly what I really want to share from my heart. And people will respond to that. They will say, oh, look at that little girl standing up for herself and asking for what she wants. And we didn't realize she wanted that. She was so self-effacing. She was always rushing, and we couldn't follow all she was saying. And that's personal growth. That's something that you will grow into when you're ready. You're still, relatively young. A lot of this stuff we grow into. Some people, with North Node challenges and also with interceptions, it often happens late in midlife or in their senior years. Um, in fact, by the way, you have a lot of help here because you have two house cusps in Leo, third and fourth. So you have a lot of Leo energy, leader energy, royal energy, authority. Um, you just haven't found it yet, but it's there. It's in your chart. You also have a lot of Aquarian energy, so you manage very well in New Age groups and like co-creator circle, spiritual teachings and philosophies. You get all that stuff. You got it. Um, but let me show you one other thing here, and then we can close. Let's see. Where is your interceptions? Not exactly an interception, is it? No, it's right on the cusp. So can't say you really have an interception like I have. But when there's an interception, an intercepted sign, it's a sign that doesn't have any house cusp in it. So you kind of have it in Aries and Libra. So it means that you enter into your Aries energy through the previous sign, which is Pisces, which is meditation, which is healing, which is selfless service to others. And you enter into your Libra, your relationship energy, through Virgo, helping, serving, gathering information. That's how you form committed relationships. That's how you get to access the full energy and power of your Venus. You love relationships. You love harmony. You love love. Because the house cusp isn't squarely in Libra, it comes through this sign here, Virgo. So all this service and so helping that you're doing is actually, when you're doing that, the hidden Libra energy is like you're in a room and somewhere in the closet, in a box up on a shelf, is this energy of Venus and Mercury and Libra, beautiful energies, very powerful, very harmonious, loving. Um, and and so this is why you're doing all this service, because these things are hidden inside those activities.
Like, can you say that one more time? Why am I doing all this service? What's hidden inside what activity? Can you just summarize? I don't understand. I'm sorry.
The power of your Venus in Libra. See, Venus and Mercury are in an intercepted sign. They're both in the sign of Libra, and Libra doesn't have a house cusp right in it. It's got a cusp near the cusp, but the house cusp, if it were over here in Libra, then you would have a house cusp in Libra. You don't really have a house cusp in Libra. It's over here almost into Virgo.
Okay.
So that means that your Venus in Libra, your love of love, the power of love, is kind of hidden in your chart and in your life. And your Mercury, your capacity to speak and communicate about relationships and values and harmony and peace and love, these things are very important to you, but they're hidden. There's a book by Joanne Wickenburg. She's an astrologer who did some pioneering work about interceptions, and she came up with this theory, which I've seen it play out time and time again. So since there's no house cusp in Libra, you go to the previous sign, which is Virgo. And look, you've got all this energy in Virgo. Virgo is service. That's why it's through all this serving and helping and gathering information and sharing information, that's how you enter in to your Libra energy to access your love and your communication. So they're all tied together. And so there's method to the madness. There's reason why all this expansive selflessness and helping others. And, like you could get sick of it sometimes, but it's a window, it's an opening into finding your capacity to love, to give and receive love, Venus and Libra, and your capacity to communicate lovingly. Does that make more sense? Is it more clear?
Clear as mud, Steve.
Clear as what? Oh, clear as mud? Well, we never did get to the meditations, and I guess we can do that another time. So I actually have something coming up at 4:30. So we really
You want to give a brief on Meenakshi?
Hmm?
Can you give a couple minutes on Meenakshi?
But I already know Tree because he had done mine once.
Well, I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it.
Oh, you want to see it?
Oh, well, I'd be happy to do it, but maybe another time because it's
Yeah.
4:26 and I have a Zoom at 4:30 in 4 minutes.
It's been a long night, beautiful, really very beautiful. So much information we've all received, Steve. Thanks a lot. And thanks
You're
everyone
welcome.
for participating, opening their hearts and, letting us see and look inside each one. That's really
Angela, you're
very
still
powerful.
there. Thank you, Angela. And
I am here.
I have your email address, so I'll email you a copy of your chart.
Thanks, Steve. And that way we can be in touch and go over in detail.
Steve, can you stop sharing for just a minute so that we see everybody just for the last part of the recording? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was very beautiful. Do you mind coming on video, Tree? Just for a photo op. Smile at the camera and let's say thank you, Steve, together.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank
you, Steve.
Welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure and an honor to share. And my only hope is that it will be helpful in serving you somehow, in intensifying your purpose and your passion. And please remember, if anyone on an airplane says, "Oh, do you really believe in that stuff?" Just say, "Well, it's a language, you know."
I'll use that for sure. Thank you. Thanks, Meenakshi, for putting it together. It was great.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
We're going to do this again next month.
Okay.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Yes.
I'm in.
Okay, perfect.
We'll start with Meenakshi next time.
yes. All right. Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a good
Thank you
one.
very much,
Bye.
Steve.
Bye.
Welcome.
And
Bye-bye.
Meenakshi, thank you.